up for Mr. Daniel Max.
How you guys doing? So I finally fulfilled a New Year's resolution this year, which was to give up on life. It's all life is hard, and it's getting harder. But instead of dealing with it like an adult, I just decided to mentally check out the whole thing. It's great. It's great because nothing phases me anymore. In fact, I'm so detached from my own reality at this point that when I go out in the world, it's like I'm watching a TV show about myself. Like, my boss called me in his office the other day, and he was like, "Dan, you're doing a great job, but we're gonna have to let you go." And I was like, twist! What's gonna happen to Dan now? So I went to go see a girl that I was dating, and she was like, "Dan, this is going nowhere, we're through." And I was like, I wonder if this has something to do with the personal trainer she met in last week's episode. The show's scandalous. Every now and then it backfires though. I was at a bar and this girl who was way out of my league buys me a Coors Light. And I actually said out loud, "Yeah, like that would happen in real life." I hate commercials. So I was born and raised in New York City. A lot of people have a hard time believing that because I don't have an accent. But when I was a kid, I had a thick Brooklyn accent. When I was a toddler, I sounded like a Teamster with serious mob ties. I swear to God, there's home video of me in footy pajamas like, "Hey Ma, this type ain't gonna change itself, you know." And then, easy on the powder last time I cool, you look like a stripper's nose on a bathroom break, huh? It was like having a little Joe Pesci on their hands. I'd go to preschool, and I'd make other toddlers offers they couldn't refuse. Like, "Hey, Nikki, all I'm saying is somebody can cut the brakes on your Power Wheels, all right?" But for 2 pudding packs a week, you can sleep better nap time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm 28 and I still live with my parents. Ladies, anyone? Yeah. The hardest thing about living at home at my age is that if I'm ever lucky enough to sleep with a woman, it always has to be at her place. I'm forced to play a lot of sexual away games. Yeah. And that's taxing on my team. My boys have been on a 3-year road trip. They can use a homestand. Because having sex at home is great. I mean, you bring a girl back to your place, you walk into that bedroom with confidence, like a New York Knick entering the Garden. You know, you walk in and whatever accomplishments you've earned in your lifetime are right there on the wall. Like your college diploma maybe, or your GED. No judgments, you earned that. You know, you got pictures of your friends cheering you on, like, "Yeah, go get her." You know, or of your family, like, "Yeah, make more of us." Whatever it is, it's supportive. You know, you go to her place, she's got her fans on her wall, rooting for you to fail. You know, like a picture of her parents, her disapproving, waspy parents, you know, and they're looking at you like, "Oh, darling, he looks poor." And Jewish. Mom, I didn't know they made those. Or like an old picture of her ex-boyfriend, some 6'6", blonde hair, blue-eyed, possibly the Norse god pleasing women. And he's looking at you like, "You call that the penis?" And the worst part is that if it doesn't go well, if you don't give like 110%, you gotta take that long flight home at the end of the game, where you're forced to go over in your head a play-by-play of all the sexual missteps you might have made that night. Like, did she have an orgasm? I think she had an orgasm. Yeah, she couldn't have faked that. I'm gonna call her and ask. I should call her. No! If you're at home, you just go right to the videotape. Just don't rebroadcast the video to your friends without the express written consent of the girl that you're sleeping with. You can get in a lot of trouble that way. Yeah, so it's hard to date. I was in love once. I fell in love with my best friend, just like every romantic comedy told me to do. And as soon as I realized that this person was my soulmate and that I loved her, I took her by the hand and I said, "Do you want to get married?" And she said yes. About 2 weeks later, to somebody else entirely. Yeah, and I was upset, because I was like, the damn show, this is supposed to be a sitcom. It's not an episode of Punk'd. Or that weird Japanese game show where the guy gets hit in the testicles for an hour. Yeah, but I realized later that it was probably my fault, because when I said, "Do you want to get married?" I wasn't specific enough as to who would be doing the marrying. I didn't identify myself as the object in the sentence. I just said, "Do you want to get married?" That could have meant to anybody. Yeah, but who knew that grammar was going to turn out to be the most important class that I took in school? Like, I wish when I was like 8 years old, my third grade teacher called me up in front of the class and she's like, "Dan, come up here. You see this sentence? The brown dog jumps over the fence. Can you identify the adjective in that sentence?" Brown? Yeah, brown. Good. Can you identify the object? Dog? You're gonna die alone. Do you understand me? You're gonna die alone. Okay, now can you identify the subject? Fence? You're gonna move back in with your parents. And you're gonna cry every time you see wedding videos. Yeah, 28, that's too long to live with your parents, right? Wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because in just a couple of years, as my parents start to lose their faculties, I can claim that they live with me. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, "Dan, you still live with your parents," but there's a difference, trust me. If I talk to a girl at a bar and I tell her that I'm 30 and I live at home, she probably thinks I'm a loser. But if at 30, I've taken in my aging, decrepit, senile parents, well, I'm a goddamn saint. With a spacious 2-bedroom on the Upper East Side. The only problem is now in my house it's created this insane competition between me and my parents over who's going to take care of who. Like, my parents try to take care of me like I'm still a child, which I'm not anymore. And I try to take care of them like they're invalids, which they aren't yet. Like, the other day my dad came up to me and he was like, "Dan, I'm concerned about your diet, because a growing boy needs twice the amount of protein that adults do." And I was like, "Dad, you just told me that 5 minutes ago." It's 4 in the afternoon, why don't you call it a day, huh? So it's going great. I'm just worried about this. I know there's going to be a day in the future where my dad's like, "Hey, Dan, this diaper ain't going to change itself enough." And I'll be like, "Twist!"
Everybody,